Hello, wise and wild souls. My name is Brianna Jolie. I am a spiritual mentor and channel, and I love to help people reconnect with their wild selves so they can live freely and be fully in their magic. Today, I want to share with you the power of ancestral work. This is a part of my spiritual path that I've been taking a lot of a closer look into and have been practicing with really intimately over the past year. So I want to share with you some of my findings, my experiences, and what I have found most powerful for me as I've moved through this myself in doing ancestral work. So before we get close to diving in, I just want to preface this video with the acknowledgement of not everyone knowing where their ancestors have come from, whether they have been displaced or moved or taken away from their homelands. I want to mention that it is okay if you do not know where your ancestors have come from, or your family members don't, and or if you are not in the means to receive a DNA report to receive some of that feedback, that this is work that you can do without having an exact pinpoint of where your ancestors are from, that we can do this and move through it intuitively, and that we can connect with the energetic space of our homelands through working with spirit. And this goes for anyone who's watching this and might be adopted and don't have documentation or paperwork or connection to their ancestors as well. So the reason why I stepped into ancestral work was to mainly heal my lineage. And in healing my lineage, or the intention of healing my lineage, first came from doing some of my own healing work, my shadow work. I was really called to do ancestral work when I saw repeating patterns show up around money and receiving, and in regards to my business and my life, and also where I was holding too much control over the ways in which I was receiving and how it was coming through, and the timeline of that receiving too. I could sense that part of my masculine self, we both have masculine and feminine energy, that my masculine was really wounded, was really hurt. And when we can sense and feel that, this isn't just energy that you yourself are feeling, but that your ancestors have felt before, and something that they might need help healing with as well. And our ancestors, of course, go back into our past loved ones and our family line, but also relate to our living family members, although they're not technically ancestors, but one day they will be. And even the living family members doing this type of work can help heal them now in the present moment. And in doing this work, I was also really called and guided to support my father through his own healing work by doing the healing work on myself and doing the healing work with my ancestors. So that's where I was kind of called. That's where this journey kind of took me to. And throughout that journey, I then began to work with my feminine ancestors and seeing where in my feminine body, where receiving didn't feel natural or good or open, and in ways in which I could practice and embody more strength in being seen and being witnessed in my truth. A lot of people on this planet have a feminine wound of being seen and heard because for so long so many women have been silenced, and even in some other cases, worse cases, for speaking on their truth. So what's also really interesting about ancestral work is not only are some of these patterns might be ones that you feel and are repeating in your own shadow work, but they also tend to be a huge reflection of what's going on in the microcosm and in communities and worlds around us too. So what's also empowering is if you're working on this on a micro level, if you're doing this own inner healing work, you're not only helping your ancestors, your lineage heal from these patterns and yourself, but you're also healing the planet. You're also healing the macro, you're also healing the collective in doing so too. Now, in some of my group programs and my one-on-one mentorship, I do dive into this a lot deeper of how do we connect with our ancestors, what are some of practices in which we can connect with them. And although I don't have the space to go super deep into that in this short video, but I will share with you guys just a few things in which how I began and how I got started to share. So one of the ways that I began connecting with my ancestors was through meditation. Now, it might be surprising to you, but actually meditation used to be more of a main tool that I used. But I really only fully meditate, I guess you would say in the traditional sense, when I feel called, and that's not every day for me. And meditation comes for me in waves and seasons. So if this is something that you don't feel naturally inclined to do or intuitively inclined to do, that I would definitely have more suggestions for you. But one of the key powerful ways that I first was introduced to doing ancestral work was through meditation. So I wanted to touch on that here. And it's still a practice I use when I feel the call. It's not a forced feeling or action of, oh, I'm going to do ancestral work, let me meditate. It's this calling to dive in and to speak with my ancestors through meditation. This also goes for channeling, and whether I'm channeling in the Akasha Records or Tarot, that is another form I'll touch on too. But it is similar into meditation in the sense that I'm setting an intention. I'm going in openly into that space to receive messages, symbols, words, any actions to take in working with my ancestors, whether that be through a channeling state or in a meditative state. And this can be very open to interpretation, can be very open to what your gifts are and connecting to spirit and to source, to yourself. A huge gateway into doing our ancestral work is ourself. So first also tapping into what that looks like and feels like for you and what feels comfortable. And then setting space, setting the intention to call, to draw my ancestors in, to let them know that I am open and ready to receive messages, guidance, support, and love from them, whether that be an intention I set, again, through meditation or through a practice like tarot or the Akashic Records. And then I receive those messages, I receive that guidance, and I use it and I apply it and I embodiment it in my everyday. Another way I connect with my ancestors has been through some historical knowledge. So again, if you're somebody that does not know the root of where your ancestors have come from or their homelands, I definitely recommend to try connecting with them through meditation or through a divination practice like tarot or the Akashic Records to feel into where their homelands are. And it's okay if it's a broad spectrum. Many of our ancestors were nomadic and have traveled near and far. So if it's a general area that you can sense, I would start with that. But this practice of connecting with the rituals that were connected to the historical landscape of my ancestors has definitely helped me to propel my connection with my ancestors' guides, and can really just connect me to the hearth, the home of their work and their work living through me. So in doing some of that historical investigation, I was able to discover my ancestors practiced runes, and many of my ancestors especially the women, went by being called witches, or in the traditional Norse sense, the vulva. So in doing and actually using and introducing those practices into my space where I did not know of or work with runes has been really transformative, because in holding the tools of the runes, or the tools that my ancestors once have used, or the verbiage, with runes there's actually a specific language tied to Norse. It's really impactful. It's almost like the prayers moving through me, or the medicine of that magic being moved through my hands as well. And been doing that, just feeling that connection even more, allowing them to move through me. Sometimes I also dedicate that work specifically to my ancestors in devotion. One last thing that I will touch on as a way that I've been connecting to my ancestors is simply just through prayer. And you can also use prayer as a symbol of your voice to connect to your ancestors, and or you can dedicate a space or an altar to your ancestors as a physical representation of your prayer to them. So this might be something that you feel called to do in your morning practice, an afternoon practice, really it doesn't matter the time, but just dedicating some time to quiet down and to be with your ancestors, to listen in with them, to whether it be thank them, give them an offering, whether it be on your altar or the landscape around you. In some of these prayers, I like to also introduce animals into the prayers, animals specifically tied to where the homelands of my ancestors were from. That's very special to me because I work with animal medicine, but it might look differently for you. Candles, any type of physical object that might feel important for you, your ancestors or the animals and the land that they were attached to, can also help you to build that connection, to feel that connection more closely. And the same thing with prayer. I know I was talking more so about the altar and the physical space, but if you don't feel called or have the means of creating an altar, using prayer or speaking just to your ancestors out loud, thanking them, asking them for guidance, protection, love, very, very simple things. With ancestral work, you don't really need all these bells and whistles that you might see or other people do in practice, because it is just so natural. It's in your blood. They move through you, and it has healed a lot of my own relationships with my family. It has helped me to begin to reconcile and heal in which ways I've moved with my feminine and masculine energy. And of course, I have felt that healing work move through my ancestors as well. I hope this video today was either inspiring, informative, or just interesting for you to listen to. I'm excited to hear your reflections if you've tried any of these practices before listening to this video, or if you feel called to try them afterwards. I would love to hear your reflections, your thoughts, your feelings in the comments below. And if you're open to doing some of this work with extra support on a deeper level, I do Akashic record readings, and I have group mentorship programs and small, intimate, private mentorship programs. If that is something that you are called to do and you feel the intuitive nudge. So I will leave those links all for you below. I'm so happy to have you in my space with me, learning with me today, and possibly introducing ancestral work into your practice. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.